What's up? What's up? What's up?
Welcome to the Let's Go Show. We've been having a lot of thoughts lately.
Lots of thinking.
If you've been with us, we're talking about our thought life, like the way we think. We learned that from the center of our being, our hearts, comes the way we think and feel.
A heart focus on Jesus leads to good feelings. A heart focus on ourselves leads us feeling empty.
What about things that happen to us that we can't control? I sometimes have no power over how someone might treat me or something bad that might happen to me.
It's a matter of how we respond when we're in those situations that counts. What do you usually do when you're upset?
I feel like I'm more of an internal processor. Like I try to figure things out on my own.
Yeah, I can see that.
I know that's not always good because we should always talk to God about it and let someone else know what's going on.
True.
Not too long ago, I was having a rough day. I don't even remember what got me in a bad mood. Probably something silly. Either way, at some point I was so fed up that I snapped.
You snapped?
I'd avoided talking to people all day, trying to process things, and it turns out all I did was just build up negativity, and I finally let it all out. I was so mean to a friend, and I said some bad things, even though I didn't mean what I said. I felt bad after, and my friend understood what was going on, and he forgave me.
I mean, I've been there before. Our thoughts have a huge impact on our words and how we react to those around us. The words we speak can have a big impact on others.
You're saying that the words we say are because of how we feel inside?
Yep. The condition of our heart determines our thoughts and also our words.
I never thought about it that way, but that really makes sense.
And that's why our main point for today is my words always reveal my heart.
Can you guys think of a time when you had negative thoughts and they influenced your words in a bad way? How could you have responded differently?
This goes out to the world. This goes out to the stress. Sorting out a million thoughts running through your head. To everyone that's waiting for better days ahead. Tired and frustrated and leaving words unsaid. Please don't hold your breath. Just breathe, 'cause it's a miracle we can breathe. There's power in the way that we breathe. Release your heavy burdens and let everything that has breath praise the Lord. This is why we have breath. Praise the Lord. Sometimes you're in the desert. Sometimes you feel the pain. Sometimes it comes a storm, and sometimes he lets it rain. Please don't hold your breath. Just breathe. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. Come on and breathe. Release the breath of God. There's power in the way that we breathe.
Our words are powerful. With the words you say, you can either do some pretty bad things or some really great things. Our words have the power to build people up. Or tear people down. Proverbs 12:18 says this: "Thoughtless words cut like a sword, but the tongue of wise people brings healing." In other words, be careful with your words. You know, sometimes we can be very negative with our words. We say bad things that hurt people, even if we didn't mean to hurt them. Our words can influence people in a negative way. Here, let me give you an example. Imagine that this water is one of your friends, and this food coloring represents the words you say to them. So how many negative words does it take to influence someone's life in a bad way? You see that? Just one drop, one word, and you can see that it has already kind of spread. And if I were to stir it around a bit, look how it's totally changing the color of the water. Now, if you were to continue to speak into someone's life negatively, it just gets even worse. The problem with words, just like this food coloring, is that we can't take back what has been said. We can't fit the drops back into the bottle. You can, and should, apologize, but the impact of those words is still there. This is why it's so important to choose your words wisely. Speak life-giving words, and never forget that your words have power, a lot of power. With that being said, let's be like Jesus and use our words to build others up.
This goes out to the world. This goes out to the stress. Sorting out a million thoughts running through your head. To everyone that's waiting for better days ahead. Tired and frustrated and leaving words unsaid. Please don't hold your breath. Just breathe, 'cause it's a miracle we can breathe. There's power in the way that we breathe. Release your heavy burdens and let everything that has breath praise the Lord. This is why we have breath. Praise
back to your favorite game show, What Happens Next? The game where we show you a video clip and you have to decide what happens next. Are you ready?
Let's get into it.
Ooh, this one's gonna be tricky. What do you think's gonna happen? Option A, the helicopter crashes. Option B, the helicopter turns into a submarine and goes underwater. Option C, the pilot gets ejected from the helicopter. Or option D, the guy jumps out of the helicopter and rides the waves. Cowabunga, dude. Off to the next video. This is gonna be a tough one. What do you think happens next? Option A, he skis off the cliff and lands on top of an airplane. Option B, he falls off the really high cliff and uses his parachute. Option C, he turns back around and climbs the mountain to the top. Or option D, his skis stick together and they stick on the edge of the cliff. Woo! That was a close one. Good thing he had that parachute. Whoa, what do you think's gonna happen next? Option A, they stop spinning and he wins the race. Option B, the go-kart's wheels go flying off and he comes to a screeching halt. Option C, they spin into outer space. Or option D, the go-kart gets hit by a bird. What happens next? Yep, I knew it. You were all wrong. Thanks for playing What Happens Next? We'll see you next time.
God created each of us for specific reasons, but one of the most important ones is to tell others about Jesus Christ and how to receive salvation through belief in Him. The Apostle James warned that we shouldn't be eager to be teachers of God's Word because we will be held to a higher standard. We all fail in many areas, especially with our words, but it is possible to learn to control our words so that they reflect our beliefs and God's mission for our lives. As an example, James tells us that horses don't start out their lives as gentle, trained animals. They are wild creatures with huge, powerful bodies. But with some training and something as small as a bit and bridle in their mouths, we can control the direction in which these massive animals go. By controlling our words, we can control the power and direction of our lives as well. James continues describing how sailing ships are amazing. They can cross huge bodies of water and carry enormous loads of supplies. Though these vessels are driven by fierce winds, they can be directed by a tiny rudder steered by a single person at the helm. We can accomplish great things and persevere in stormy times if we can control the words we speak. The tongue we use to speak is small, but in many ways, it is the most dangerous part of our bodies. James tells us that just as a tiny spark can set a whole forest on fire, a single evil word the tongue spits out can start a destructive fire that can do unimaginable damage. However, just as our words can corrupt our lives and stir up all kinds of evil, they can also do incredible good. Next, James has us consider animals. From reptiles to birds, creatures of the sea to beasts of the jungle, humans have tamed and trained every kind of animal on Earth. The only thing humans have been unable to tame are their own tongues to keep them from speaking evil. It has deadly potential to spew out poison-filled words, wounding all who hear them. Consider this. On Sunday, we go to church where we use our tongues to speak and sing praises to God, and then a few hours later, we speak words that curse another person who was made in God's image. 1 minute, our tongues are doing what they were created to, and the next, they are acting out of evil. This should never be. Good and evil cannot come from the same place. Can an apple tree bear oranges, or a saltwater pond produce fresh water? No. So a Christian should not use evil words. Our words should honor God and reflect a godly life. The Bible tells us that Jesus was the Word of God who became flesh. Jesus is our example to follow, and our lives should speak and live out the good words of God.
This goes out to the worried. This goes out to the stressed. Sorting out a million thoughts running through your head. To everyone that's waiting for better days ahead. Tired and frustrated and leaving words unsaid. Please don't hold your breath. Just breathe, 'cause it's a miracle we can breathe. There's power in the way that we breathe. Release your heavy burdens and let everything that has breath praise the Lord. This is why we have breath. Praise the Lord. Sometimes you're in the desert. Sometimes you feel the pain. Sometimes it comes a storm, and sometimes he lets it rain. Please don't hold your breath. Just breathe. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. Come on and breathe. Release the breath of God. There's power in the way that we breathe. Release your heavy burden and let everything that has breath praise the Lord. This is why we have praise. Just breathe. It's a miracle we can breathe. There's power in the way that we breathe. Release your heavy burden. Release your heavy burden and let everything that has breath praise the Lord. This is why we have
This really puts into perspective how important our words are.
Our words can either build others up or tear them down. Just like a small spark can start a big fire, our words have the power to bring a lot of good or a lot of harm.
That's why when we talk to others, we need to remember to speak words of life. We need to use words that build people up, not ones that tear them down.
If something other than that comes to your mind, you probably shouldn't say it.
that's where the source of our words come into play, the condition of our hearts.
James reminds us that a spring can't have both fresh and bitter water. In the same way, good words don't come from a bad heart, and bad words don't come from a good heart.
If we have negative thoughts, those thoughts will often lead to hurtful words. On the other hand, if we have positive and loving thoughts, our words will reflect kindness and encouragement.
We also can't flip-flop and only be nice to some people and then be mean to others.
We need to be consistent in the goodness of our words and thoughts. We need to learn not to be affected by every small thing and let it change the way that we feel.
Now, the big thing here is we can't fix the problem of our words and thoughts by our strength alone. We need God's help.
In Psalms chapter 19, verse 14, we read, "May these words of my mouth and this meditation of my heart be pleasing in your sight, Lord, my rock and my redeemer." When we ask God to help us control our thoughts, He gives us the strength to use our words to build up people.
Like always, it starts with our relationship with Jesus. He was the perfect example when He was here on earth speaking to others with both grace and truth.
He was honest, yet He was loving and gracious. Jesus showed us how we should focus on His love in order to love those around us.
Even in Jesus' most troubling time, He never spoke a wrong word. He didn't allow His pain to get Him away from His purpose, which was dying on the cross for us.
Jesus defeated death and sin, giving us the opportunity to follow Him and become like Him every day.
And there are times when we'll mess up, when our thoughts get the best of us, when we say something wrong, but we can always refocus on Jesus. We can let Him transform our hearts to shake the dirt off and try it again.
I need to remind myself of this truth and pray for Jesus to help me guard my thoughts so that my words will reflect His love and His grace.
Now let's commit to speaking words that honor God and uplift others in all that we say.
Let's do it.
Yes.
Peace.
Bye, guys.